Hi, this is Gabor from the band Resolution 13 and you are watching Metal DNA.
Hit the light, hit the light, hit the light. Ooh, yeah.
Alright, let's get started. So, we were asked to choose and present an album cover art from a famous band. My choice has landed on Iron Maiden's The Seventh Son of a Seventh Son album, and the reason being that I chose this one is because one thing, that this was available at the moment at home, since all my vinyls are in Hungary at my parents' place, and my girlfriend actually has borrowed this one to me, so thank you very much for that. And anyways, this is one of my very favorite Iron Maiden albums. I was always fascinated actually Iron Maiden's cover art images, and I guess that was actually the thing that got me into listening their albums, at least the first one, which was Number of the Beast, when I was like under 10, I guess, still. So I was fascinated how the paintings looked like, and at the end what's the story of him, and then I just had to take one listen of the album, and I was sold. I love the music, and I do love it still. So probably you all know that already, that Iron Maiden, along with Judas Priest, I guess, are one of the most important and first maybe new wave of British heavy metal bands. So new wave of British heavy metal bands as in music style, I would put them in between the classic hard rock style of Black Sabbath, and then the more trashy black metal-ish genre of Venom. So I don't wanna go too deep in their musical elements and style, but I would say just the genre itself is technically more focused than, for example, the Black Sabbath-ish, doomish, slowish, heavy metal, and also the twin guitar leads are very significant element in their style. So the first 7 albums of Iron Maiden are probably the most, I would say, classical Iron Maiden material, and obviously the 7th album was Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. Before that, all the classics were the Iron Maiden Killers, The Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Somewhere in Time, and there was also Live After that, and then Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. Live After that being, of course, a live recorded collection of songs. Music wise, this album sounds very different from the previous ones. They have used a lot of synths and atmospheric spaces, sci-fi sounding effects. They use, I think, mostly guitar synths, if I recall it correctly from my readings, but it pretty much sets the atmosphere in this utopistic, surrealistic world of Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. So this was their first concept album as well, which means that lyrics-wise, it covers a story from the beginning to the end of the album. And as far as I understand the story is, the seventh son of a seventh son, he was a child born with psychic abilities, being able to foresee the future, and basically his life is being told throughout the songs, starting with Moonchild, in which the child is born, and I think the devil claims the child, and then Infinite Dreams, which tells child feeling like living in a bad dream infinitely, and can I play with madness? He's asking how long this can go on without losing his mind completely, and so on, till the point where he dies at the end of the album. As for the album cover art, we all know who know Iron Maiden that pretty much all of their album cover arts are great looking and very detailed, very quality paintings, very high quality paintings, and on every picture we can spot Eddie, this guy, who is probably the most recognizable album cover art mascot, at least in the heavy metal scene, or heavy metal music library, if I may say it that way, as well as many other Iron Maiden album covers. This was also painted by Derek Riggs. Compared to the previous albums, which, for example, let's say Power Slave, that jumps back time to the ancient Egyptian times, and Somewhere in Time, which jumps to the future. Compared to those ones, this is very different. It's a more surrealistic style, more surrealistic place, and that was the idea with the music as well as the cover art. For this particular Iron Maiden cover, Derek Riggs has been briefed to make it surrealistic and weird, as well as the album and the 4 singles also that came before and during the album release. And as far as I know, Bruce Dickinson had a lot to do with the ideas as well. He jumped in, he took a large part of providing ideas, and then with approving Derek Riggs's visions and versions of the cover. As far as it goes for Eddie, you can follow how previous albums have been released as well. Eddie is always developing, and something that showed up before continues to show up on the later covers as well. I mean, some feature or details. Just as few examples, if I remember right, Peace of Mind, his lobotomy has been done, and scenes that his skull is split and put back together with this piece of metal. From somewhere in time, he's got this robotic metallic parts in his body, as well as his Terminator-like eyes. And yeah, this thing looks just super great and somehow like represents, just suits the music of the album like very well. Derek Riggs was asked about the colors that he has been using, and you can see that this is kind of like a daylight scenery, very blue and icy and sort of North Pole like, I would say, or polar, let's say polar landscape looking. And as Derek Riggs is explained, he was watching some sort of documentary about North Pole before before painting this picture, so it's been inspiring him. There are lots of surrealistic elements of this thing at the front and the back as well, which Derek Riggs explained he has been inspired by Salvador Dali, who is known for these surrealistic visions. For example, the water has got edges and some part even folding back, and there is a planet under the surface of the ice. The Bible being there, it probably has to do something with the prophecy, which is also a song on the album, but also, as you know, the story tells how Seventh Son of a Seventh Son foresees the future, so it tells a prophecy and how he foresees his own death in the song called Clairvoyant. There are some random things in there. For example, this funny little rocket looking bird trying to catch a skeleton of a fish. I have read an article that quoted a portion of Derek Riggs' book. I think the book is called Run for Cover, and it explains a lot about Iron Maiden cover arts. At the time when he was painting this one, they had quite a rush. They pretty much made a new album and toured every year in the 80s. And by the way, this is made in 88, and he had not much time to think about what he's gonna do with the cover. In the case of the first two Iron Maiden albums, he pretty much just came up with all the ideas himself. And with the singles, singles are about what they are, so it was easy for him to come up with things. But for this one, as he was just told to make it surreal and weird, he just sort of went with that. He said he wasn't even able to listen to the music as the music was being recorded at the same time when he was painting these pictures. So one idea was, for example, that he was requested or provided with is to have other Iron Maiden Gabor's or Eddie's painted into this scenery, and he decided to create melted ice versions of those. I can recognize a few, not all of them, but this is very obviously Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Live After Death, and I think this is Killers in the back. The other two I don't know, but they are scary. So as I said, this was made in a rush, kind of, and he didn't have that much fun creating this. I mean, meaning that he didn't add that many jokes than, for example, before to, let's say, Power Slave, on which he actually added himself on the picture, painting the picture. This doesn't have that much of those small details, but for example, one previous one, Somewhere in Time, has, this is full of all kind of indications to parts of Iron Maiden songs, or the songs itself, like Acacia Avenue and Aces High Bar, and a lot of other things that you can discover. 2 Minutes to Midnight, XLR. Awesome album as well. So I myself, I'm not talented at all in visual arts, but Iron Maiden covers have always been fascinating me, and this, and maybe also Fear of the Dark cover is I think very, very good looking. And I must say that the pictures of, or the paintings of Derek Riggs have been always the better ones. I know that some Iron Maiden covers have been painted by other painters as well, but for me these are the only ones that look like great, and they always will be the favorites of mine. So this is about Iron Maiden and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Thank you very much for watching this.
The fans are insane. We're gonna blow this place away. With the volume higher, than anything today. We start to rock, we never stop again.